Welcome to this comprehensive clinical review of tracheomalacia in children, proudly presented by the Pediatric Case review channel. Today, we will utilize a case-based approach to master the pathophysiology, diagnosis, and management of this pediatric airway disorder. Our goal is to provide high-quality medical education for our viewers. Let us begin. Here is our first clinical case. A 3-month-old infant presents with noisy breathing that started at 6 weeks of age. The breathing sounds worsened during feeding and crying, but improved during sleep. Physical examination shows supraclavicular retractions during expiration. What is the most likely underlying pathophysiological mechanism? Option 1. Hypertrophy of tracheal cartilage. Option 2. Weakness of tracheal cartilage leading to dynamic airway collapse. Option 3. Inflammation of the tracheal mucosa. Option 4. Congenital absence of tracheal cartilage rings. The correct answer is option 2. Tracheomalacia is characterized by weakness of the tracheal cartilage. The diagram shows how this flexity leads to excessive dynamic collapse of the airway during expiration. Normal U-shaped cartilage is abnormally soft, causing the diameter to decrease by more than 50%, resulting in significant airway obstruction. Case number 2. A 6-month-old baby with a history of repaired tracheoesophageal fistula presents with persistent stridor and recurrent respiratory infections. Bronchoscopy reveals localized tracheal collapse at the site of the previous repair. Which type of tracheomalacia does this represent? Option 1. Primary diffuse tracheomalacia. Option 2. Primary localized tracheomalacia. Option 3. Secondary localized tracheomalacia. Option 4. Acquired diffuse tracheomalacia. The correct answer is option 3. Secondary tracheomalacia is acquired and caused by external factors affecting a previously normal trachea. In this case, as illustrated in the classification chart, the weakness developed after surgical repair of a tracheoesophageal fistula, making it a classic example of secondary localized tracheomalacia. Case number 3. A 4-month-old infant presents with noisy breathing and a harsh sound during expiration. The sound gets much louder when the baby cries and almost disappears when calm. What is the most characteristic clinical feature described? Option 1. Inspiratory stridor. Option 2. Expiratory stridor. Option 3. Biphasic stridor. Option 4. Wheezing. The correct answer is option 2. Expiratory stridor. This is the hallmark of tracheomalacia. Unlike inspiratory stridor seen in upper airway issues, tracheomalacia produces a harsh sound during expiration because intrathoracic tracheal collapse worsens when positive pressure compresses the weakened airway, as depicted in the respiratory waveform illustration. Case number 4. During examination of a 5-month-old infant with suspected tracheomalacia, you perform auscultation of the chest. Which of the following auscultatory findings would you most likely expect? Option 1. Fine inspiratory crackles bilaterally. Option 2. Expiratory wheeze throughout both lung fields. Option 3. Abnormal expiratory noises with normal inspiration. Option 4. Absent breath sounds in the lower lobes. The correct answer is option 3. Abnormal expiratory noises with normal inspiration. This reflects the dynamic nature of tracheal collapse exclusively during the expiratory phase. You may also observe the infant adopting a position with the head and neck extended to optimize airway patency, as shown in the clinical illustration. Case number 5. A newborn with repaired esophageal atresia and tracheoesophageal fistula develops persistent respiratory distress despite successful repair. What percentage of patients with a tracheoesophageal fistula have associated tracheomalacia? Option 1, 10 to 20%. Option 2, 25 to 40%. Option 3, 50 to 75%. Option 4, 80 to 90%. The correct answer is option 3, 50 to 75%. The associations diagram highlights that tracheomalacia is incredibly common in patients with a tracheoesophageal fistula. Other significant risk factors include congenital heart defects, gastroesophageal reflux disease, and genetic conditions like Down syndrome or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Case number 6. A 7-month-old infant presents with stridor that has been present since 4 weeks of age. The stridor is worse when lying flat and improves when prone. The cry is normal. Which condition is most likely? Option 1. Tracheomalacia. Option 2. Laryngomalacia. Option 3. Subglottic stenosis. Option 4. Vocal cord paralysis. The correct answer is option 2, laryngomalacia. This case highlights a critical differential diagnosis. The comparison table demonstrates that laryngomalacia presents with inspiratory stridor that is worse when supine. In contrast, tracheomalacia presents with expiratory stridor that worsens with activity and improves when the child is resting. Case number 7. A 4-month-old infant with persistent expiratory stridor requires definitive diagnosis. The chest X-ray shows no abnormalities. What is the gold standard investigation for confirming tracheomalacia? Option 1. Computed tomography of the chest with contrast. Option 2. Flexible bronchoscopy during spontaneous breathing. Option 3. Magnetic resonance imaging of the airway. Option 4. Pulmonary function testing. The correct answer is Option 2. Flexible bronchoscopy during spontaneous breathing. As seen in the endoscopic images, this procedure allows for direct visualization of dynamic airway collapse during the respiratory cycle. It must be performed during spontaneous breathing because positive pressure ventilation can artificially stent the airway open and mask the true collapse. Case number 8. In addition to bronchoscopy, you want to evaluate mediastinal structures and potential external compression in a 6-month-old. Which imaging modality provides the best assessment of both airway collapse and surrounding vascular anatomy? Option 1. Plain chest radiograph. Option 2. Dynamic computed tomography with contrast. Option 3. Fluoroscopy with barium swallow. Option 4. Ultrasonography of the neck. The correct answer is Option 2. Dynamic computed tomography with contrast. The radiographic illustrations demonstrate how this modality provides excellent visualization of tracheal collapse during different respiratory phases. It simultaneously images the mediastinal structures and vascular anomalies, which is essential for surgical planning if external compression is suspected. Case number 9. During bronchoscopy of an infant with noisy breathing, you observe tracheal narrowing during expiration. What degree of tracheal lumen reduction during expiration is required to diagnose clinically significant tracheomalacia? Option 1. Greater than 25%. Option 2. Greater than 30%. Option 3. Greater than 50%. Option 4. Greater than 75%. The correct answer is Option 3. Greater than 50%. The diagnostic algorithm shows that while a mild dynamic collapse of up to 30% can occur normally in infants during forced expiration, a reduction exceeding 50% produces the symptomatic airway obstruction that officially defines clinically significant tracheomalacia. Case number 10. An 8-month-old infant is diagnosed with mild primary tracheomalacia with expiratory stridor, but adequate feeding and normal growth. What is the most appropriate initial management approach? Option 1. Immediate surgical intervention with aortopexy. Option 2. Placement of a tracheostomy tube. Option 3. Conservative management with close monitoring. Option 4. Continuous positive airway pressure ventilation. The correct answer is Option 3. Conservative management with close monitoring. The management pyramid illustrates that most cases of congenital tracheomalacia are mild. They typically resolve spontaneously as the tracheal cartilage naturally matures by 12 to 24 months of age. Supportive care is usually sufficient. Case number 11. A 6-month-old infant diagnosed with tracheomalacia presents with thick secretions and recurrent infections. The infant receives chest physiotherapy. What additional medical intervention may be beneficial? Option 1. Systemic corticosteroids. Option 2. Bronchodilators for airway smooth muscle relaxation. Option 3. Nebulized hypertonic saline for mucus clearance. Option 4. Long-term prophylactic antibiotics. The correct answer is Option 3. Nebulized hypertonic saline. The treatment table outlines that while evidence is limited, nebulized hypertonic saline helps mobilize thick secretions and improve mucus clearance. Bronchodilators are generally avoided because relaxing the airway smooth muscle can actually worsen the dynamic collapse of the trachea. Case number 12. A 10-month-old infant with severe tracheomalacia has experienced 3 apparent life-threatening events: failure to thrive and oxygen dependence. What is the most appropriate next step in management? Option 1. Continue conservative management for another year. Option 2. Consider surgical intervention. Option 3. Increase oral feeding frequency. Option 4. Start empiric antibiotic therapy. The correct answer is Option 2. Consider surgical intervention. The surgical indications flowchart confirms that when conservative management fails, surgery is required. Absolute indications include apparent life-threatening events, failure to thrive, persistent oxygen dependence, and recurrent severe pneumonia requiring hospital admission. Case number 13. A 1-year-old child with severe distal tracheomalacia due to vascular compression requires surgery. Aortopexy is planned. What is the primary mechanism by which this procedure relieves tracheal obstruction? Option 1. Removing part of the trachea and reconnecting the ends. Option 2. Placing a stent inside the tracheal lumen. Option 3. Anterior elevation of the aorta to open the trachea. Option 4. creating an artificial airway. The correct answer is option 3, anterior elevation of the aorta. As shown in the anatomical diagrams, aortopexy involves suturing the ascending aorta to the posterior surface of the sternum. This surgical elevation pulls the trachea anteriorly, expanding the tracheal lumen and effectively preventing dynamic expiratory collapse. Case number 14. Parents of an infant diagnosed with uncomplicated primary tracheomalacia ask about the long-term prognosis. What is the most accurate statement regarding outcomes? Option 1. Symptoms typically worsen over time requiring surgery. Option 2. Most cases resolve spontaneously by age 2 years. Option 3. The condition persists lifelong but remains stable. Option 4. Complete cartilage failure occurs by adolescence. The correct answer is option 2. Most cases resolve spontaneously by age 2 years. The prognosis timeline demonstrates that primary congenital tracheomalacia has an excellent outlook. As the child grows, the tracheal cartilage naturally matures and strengthens, leading to complete resolution of symptoms between 12 and 24 months of age. I would like to personally invite you to join our growing community on Patreon, named Pediatric Case Review. This platform contains all of our videos conveniently organized by medical system for easy access. All the presentation slides are available as downloadable files for your study and practice. For subscription details, please comment below and we will message you. Thank you for participating in this comprehensive review of tracheomalacia in children. We hope these 14 clinical cases have strengthened your diagnostic and management skills. Please subscribe to the Pediatric Case Review channel for more high-yield, evidence-based medical education. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.